Hi, it's Matt. I I've noticed how in order to attain confidence in a video, they say that the best way to do it is a natural feeling. You know, when you are like speaking to the camera. I notice how I don't really pay attention to the fact that I'm being filmed anymore. It would rarely happen to me. I mean, the one time it happened to me, it's striking me as possible that I mentioned in a YouTube video, the one time lately that it happened to me. I guess it's just like chatting up a friend or something, you know? You're on the other side with your webcam on and we're chatting. Let's say that. Because I tackle these the exact same way that I tackle chatting up a friend or chatting up family or just, you know, speaking my mind. But you have to keep it going because there's a big point in conversation being reciprocative. Now, in worse news, I've been feeling really terrible in a way. I tried to hide it from myself. I have not been sobering up enough. I've been worsening. My syndrome has been worsening. It's all because I envision things too early. I get attached too deeply. I'm almost certain. Okay, good. I'm sort of like, I felt like I've weakened lately. I've said that before in videos. What I mean is I can take walks for hours, but in a sense I'm growing quite weak. I am worsening. But yet I'm more chill than ever in a way too. So it becomes this giant conundrum that leads me to nothing. You know, I just wonder, what is life really? Life is an accommodation for some. Life is a need to live for others. Then life is a stricken disaster for some, too. I'd say I'm the first of the three that accommodated one. A lot of people are not very accommodated at all. If I was born in a reckless part of the world, I might get like whipped or something. I've just felt it in my heart. Because I'm too open-minded. I'm too real with myself. I'm too real with what I say. I just sometimes fuck up, but I think that's just a part of the package. You know, I have chilled out because, well, I've been allowed to, I'm just gonna say it, the experiment formed a mentality. This experiment upon me formed my mentality. My, not a literal, you know, surgery session, but mentally, a calibration, a change undoubtedly occurred to me. I grow sad sometimes because I notice that the mental dysfunction is real. I notice that they feed me bits of hysteria and hope that I will proclaim them out loud. I've noticed how much I can come off as ignorant because of things like this. I attempt to better myself daily. I do. The reality is I've pulled off miracles upon myself. I just have hesitated in sharing them many times because I feared people wouldn't understand. But I have performed miracles upon myself. I've survived what anyone else would have experienced as a great tragedy. Not physical in the sense that there was a correlative element of other people. It was always centered around me, the way my body functioned. How do you unrotate your eye? How does that happen? I say it in one video, or maybe two. That beyond happened to me. I did not force it per se. I mean, I forced my head somehow. I can't do it anymore. But I forced my head, like there was this pressure I put upon my head. And then the eyes sort of like flipped back in place. Perfect rotation. I don't know how to put it other than that's not possible. Yet it happened to me. I don't know how to put it other than that should be impossible as fuck. That's why I'd probably, if I was on the other side of the aisle, I'd probably say seems unrealistic, but it could be true if insisted upon, and I would be open-minded about it. It's just a matter of the truth itself. It's just the fact that somehow someone could do that, right? And it was me. So how does that make sense? Well, I've always wanted to elaborate upon this as best I could if I describe my feelings. But the truth is the whole time, the whole 6 minutes between when the eye rotated and when it unrotated, okay? It struck me as interesting how I was very numbed to it all. And what I mean is when the eye rotated, I just checked, right? Like I just like touched my right eye. I noticed the FOV was twisted. I could not see with a black circle forming some of my vision. After 6 minutes, after having taken a picture of the eye, and I wish I could show you, but I swear to God this is not a fake story. It just sounds too convenient, but I got the biggest urge of my whole life to delete the picture, man. And I just never managed to retrieve it. I must have permanently deleted it or something, or maybe just a deletion is enough, I don't know. But it's really like an intense moment in my life, you know. Because I never got to keep the picture because maybe I started feeling it was a haunted picture or something. Because what if it would have made it real? I was about to cry. Okay. Because I just realized that I survived that. I could have been seen as a freak, a lobotomy. Anyways, I'm just, you know, it's like daily, I'm just trying to navigate my way around this whole thing, and it put me through various trials and challenges, and I believe it was a part of me, okay, that was working from above, and it merged with me, it became me again. We're meant to reunite all along. And with it came the preparations for the future. And I understand that these things take time, but I'm just feeling good about it in that way. because that should not have been possible. How did I rotate it, right there? You're asking yourself that? It happened to my will. Okay, so here's what happened. So I started playing these eye games, is what I'd call them, where I'd rotate my eyes in certain ways to... I can't really explain it anymore. It seems too foreign to me, but it was really to demonstrate a point to myself, I think. I started playing these eye games, okay? And somehow, even though I should have, like, you'd think I would have moved both eyes, I just moved my eyes so strongly, okay, that it rotated. And I've been told it's never gonna happen again. I've strongly inferred it's never gonna happen again. But my eye rotated like that because I was playing these eye games, because I was going psychotically crazy. But I just felt there was a deep purpose to it all as well. I rotated the eye, then I unrotated it 6 minutes later. If my brain was malicious in any way, the eye would have stayed that way. I'd be a cripple, end of story. The psychic happenings are a showing of various examples of lives lived that pertain to a deeper example as to how I was to come to life myself. I guess the main way to put it is that the psychic angle correlates living with me. It really just ends up creating this sort of interesting angle, but at the same time I can tell that they probably want to kill me or something like that. Even though it could just be paranoia, I mean, I have some fears in my heart regarding this matter. Because yes, things can get complicated. Yes, things can worsen on the basis of mental tragedies or just dysfunction in the mentality, a malfunction, right? I think I'm being invaded by a sort of spirit that really got a hold of a lot of me when that happened. And I had to defend myself. I think I'm being invaded by some sort of spirit that wants to turn me into a negative being. Someone who doesn't really care. In many ways, I have already managed to not care. And it's sort of like sad, because I'm a crier, right? It means I care tremendously, but maybe I just am not really grasping the extent of what matters. Maybe I'm just trying my hardest regardless, however, you know? Because I know how the world saw me. When I get psychotic and I throw my little rants, right, create an incident on YouTube, I know how the world saw me. I'm saying the world, I don't get that many views, but I want you to think about something. I think it all correlates to a deeper picture where maybe there's much more of a viewership than we think. I suspect I'm a lot more watched than it seems. Just by society itself. But I suspect it hasn't always had really like, good things to say about me, and in fairness, I haven't always had good things to say about myself either. In fact, I've probably disliked myself even at times before. Even though I wouldn't really realize it often, I was that kind of person, and then I broke out of that shell, I became something better. But at what cost, right? And I've hypothesized that the point is that there's only room for lunacy in my body. There's no room for sanity. So at that point, I just realized that I'm working against a cog that carries on regardless. It carries on regardless. And it maniacally makes me react. It's it's just a matter of the principle behind living, which is that you are in the situation you are in. That what I don't agree with is that I wouldn't then want to make the best of it, even though I do. It's just, I'm making a point with that. Listen, I'm sort of I will probably never even settle down. I'm really sad for it. Everyone I went to high school with, almost, it feels like they're out there, they're living a life, they've grown up. I've grown up maybe mentally, but it's not enough for me to even carry out work because I feel too dysfunctional. So yeah, I just feel like I would fuck up a job, and it's sad. It's really sad because I can speak really well. If my job was just to do the YouTube videos and the music, it would be the best job ever. I would survive valiantly. Even if I did interviews, I would do them very well. But because my job is to simply exist, right? It changes matters. For the fact that Canada has provided for me, I owe great gratitude. So yeah, that's off of people's backs. I owe the biggest gratitude to the people. The government chooses for people, it distributes the money. Maybe not everyone wanted it to go there. I happen to think that if we allowed people to vouch for where their taxes went, and it worked out that way, it might be a really beautiful thing. But one thing that scares me is I feel there's a lot of billionaires that would be somehow against socialism, even though they'd fuel the sort of prospects more in that way. Or maybe it's not really true. I don't know. I just feel like if it balances itself out, or maybe if even more of it went to useful places, then it would be a really good thing. I'm sure there are plenty of military fanatics that would want to vouch for their money being in the military, but then again, they wouldn't care. At the very least, they create exceptions for certain things because they would prioritize the military power. Because it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. I can't deny it. You take out the military out of the equation, we live in peace and harmony, and suddenly it's like, oh wow, a lot more money to roam around. Why can't we all just coexist? Why does it have to be this big bullshit thing where there are allies and there are enemies, right? Why does it even have to be like that? Why does anyone bomb anyone? I just think it's sad. No. That we can even be like that. Because, some people are present day are in very morbid times. And then they don't agree to be in terrorism. then their head gets chopped off or something. I mean, it was really happening, like. So then they would agree, the others would agree to been terrorism, you know? So it creates the point of the madness. The point of the madness is not to create a prosperity. At the most, the madness will create an economic prosperity, but at the cost of people's lives, which is the irony. Oh wow, I have all of this money, so I guess it's just a matter of personal gain. The network is for the self after all. So, considering that, I guess let's just fucking forget about the fact that by not spending something that you have earned like that, by not spending what you have, it is your right. It's just, you ask yourself why. I mean, if you have paid for your expenses, then maybe it's for the business deals, which I think is kind of, I mean, it's a different ball game than my ball game entirely, but I can tell you this about it. It kind of sucks when companies get bought out. It puts less thinking minds on the table. Companies should not get bought out. Companies should, yeah, strive or fail, but the only thing I can think here is that maybe there could be exceptions, but then what does that mean? It means it will happen. But really, I feel generally companies being bought out, very monopolistic move. Very much an exception would be, for example, let's say indie developer or something wants a bigger team, gets bought out by a studio, gets a bigger team there. That's an exception to that rule, but I guess, and a good example is to, on the other side, is to you buy out this company only to do nothing really with it, only to let it die, see if it had less competition. You know, that's a really sad thing, I think. You know, all I can really say is we are accommodating ourselves, like, well, I mean, actually, in some ways, it can be surprising how well we are organized. But at the same time, I'm just a lazy prick for ever even considering, like, complaining about my very free and really comfortable life, even though I'm grateful because I struggle. Do you understand what I mean? Because I cannot rationalize as well as I'd like, or maybe it's more so that I'd just be fucking up. I can feel it in my heart. I'm even glad I didn't get hired at those places. I'm glad I didn't get hired at Sobeys, because I would have just fucked up. Maybe I could have adapted, you know, and maybe in the future I'll be better. And then maybe I won't have to worry so much about it. But right now, I'm at a really tragic period in my life where it seems hopeless because I can create things. There's an avenue there, but that's dependent on the notion of independence, not a already existent basis. So yeah, I just want to go with something final. I'm depressed. Above it all, I am depressed. I mean, I am sort of not really hallucinating that much anymore, but when I do it always just kind of annoys me, and I just move on and I deal with it. But it kind of annoys me. But most of all, it's that I feel the weight on my mind. I feel the weight on my shoulders. And it really sucks. What I mean is, I'm dealing with this kind of problem where it feels overwhelming. Even like to live feels overwhelming, even though there's nothing that's going on that's bad, which is really sad. I agree with you. It's really sad, but it's something I'm living with.